find that the other publishers have published your autobiographies. Okay. Now, autobiography essentially, as I said earlier, means look here, this is the way I have lived, and this living essentially speaks about you. But those who publish you would want to recognize your pain and suffering. Yes, to live Dalit is to live this kind of life, and therefore, yes, indeed, you have lived worst kind of existence. In case of one of the Dalit writers recently, when her work, part of her work was dramatized, someone like Helmut came and shook her hands and said, despite undergoing this kind of pain, you are not bitter, you are so quiet and calm. And he was complimenting her for that quiet and calm. Which means, despite suffering and pain, you ought to, in a way, not be bitter about this. That means that writing or representing pain does not lead to any kind of critical interrogation. Okay? And therefore, I think autobiographies are extremely important for your appraisals. Of course, I am not castigating it, but it is necessary to see as to what is it that is celebrated in autobiographies. In autobiographies, not celebrated, but recognizes pain and suffering. So your pain and suffering now becomes pain and suffering, which is important consumable commodity for those who have unleashed that pain on you. Look here, this is what Dalit is. So Dalit means pain and suffering. Now every Dalit autobiographies are reproducing that pain and suffering, and more dose of pain and suffering would mean recognition of pain and suffering, okay? And therefore more production of pain and suffering in your creative writings. So when you paint pain. When you paint pain. When you write about pain and suffering. Yes. Just last, only 2 minutes. So when you paint pain and suffering. When you paint, if you see his painting, yes, I mean pain and suffering. Okay. When you write about pain and suffering. But this pain and suffering can become a consumable commodity for those who are responsible for that pain. While they recognize your pain, they do not own that pain. Because pain has to be owned by those who have created. Only then critical engagement and transcending from that pain is possible. So they recognize your pain, but they do not own the pain. And therefore you would find replication, proliferation of narratives of pain and suffering in various ways, in all kinds of expressions. I think that kind of politics of representation has to be seen. And the last point that I'm sure I would talk later, if not now, is the idea of authentic subject. While you are seen as authentic subject because you have experienced this, but one needs to question the idea of authenticity of the subject itself. For example, yes, there is difference between us and those women, those who are cleaning the pots when we eat. They are also Dalits, I know. They are also Dalits, we are also Dalits. So what authenticity we would bring to their experience. And so, for example, I might be representing their lives also for a non-Dalits. Now, that authenticity of subject will also have to be put into practice. Also need to be brought to fore of a public debate and discussion. And the final point that I am talking about is Dalits' right to make their lives as source of legitimate explorations of universal values. Why is it that I should write only pain and suffering? Whenever I am writing about pain and suffering, I am writing about universal humanity. So when I write, I try to offer that legitimacy and authenticity to my experience as legitimate basis for reflection on life itself. So my life can become source for reflecting on what is life. For example, Dostoevsky's characters, Russian characters, though are clad in Russian attire, they basically speak universal language. So Dalits are also, in that sense, speaking universal language. Why is it that Dalits should write only autobiographies of pain and suffering? Why is it that they don't write humor, for example? Why they don't write comedy, for example? Why don't they write satire, for example? Okay, so Dalit writing should also then be seen as source of this different kind of work, because and that's the reason I made humorous comment. Please don't take it as a marks. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
But another thing which I want to mention, you have already analyzed the transformation of the violence, the nature of the violence, how it changed. But it is not only in the cases of Dalit. It is you see the whole scenario.
You use the word oppressed.
I'm not talking about that. That unleashed toward Dalit is one thing, but when it unleashed toward even the upper caste and upper caste. You see the violence in Haryana, it is not unleashed towards only Dalit. We are their brothers. So the whole nature of the violence has changed. Of the humiliated self. These are not the revolutionary self you might find. So the whole vibrant you see in Gujarat or you from Maharashtra, he expresses pain, not revolutionary zeal. Not expression.
I do welcome these comments. But I still assert that it is necessary to make pain public. It is only when you make pain public that there is possibility of critical engagement with pain. It's only when your pain becomes their pain that they would engage with pain, and there is possibility of transcending the pain. You see, so therefore, it is necessary. Let your pain becomes their pain. As a Dalit man, for example, I have experienced pain and suffering from society. Okay, but at the same time, as a Dalit man, I am also simultaneous cause of pain for Dalit women. So the idea of me being simultaneous person, you see, I have the simultaneity that I am the one who suffered, at the same time I am the one who is causing pain and suffering to others. Now this is also a case of upper class women, that as women they have suffered, at the same time as the way Dr. Ambedkar would talk about graded inequality. Yes, they would be. This complication is also extremely important in understanding pain. Thank you.
Many things. We are also a part of things. But one more thing I want to be here. Every time I have seen in this type of conflicts, the negative side is only away to others. The positive side is not. The case he presented about the marriage of that Patidar and Dalit.
That's not his question.
I would like to say,
You can ask Asha.
you also saw the positive side. Likewise, our OS, Office Superintendent of this college, Rambhai Verma, his two daughters married with a Brahman boy. बारात लेके गए थे, हम भी शरीक हुए थे. नहीं, I am telling you. मैं जानता हूँ. नहीं, मैंने पहले बोला पेन है. It is my pain. मैंने पहले बोला.
You see, it is not issue because it is the marriage case.
मैंने पहले ही बोला. और आपके लिए मैं ये भी बताऊं, हर साल 3 दलित कन्या मेरे पैसे से पढ़ाई करती हैं. It is not a question of you are depressing us. You are depressing. हम आपके साथ नहीं है. राजू भाई ने एकेडमी अवार्ड जीता है. राजेश भगवान ने एकेडमी अवार्ड जीता है. It is not an easy thing for Dalit. I know, I appreciate. ये कोई झगड़ा करने की बात नहीं है. हम आपके साथ ही हैं. हम आपके साथ ही हैं. नहीं, मैं दूसरी बात अनिल जी ने ये बात बताई थी. Development vulnerabilities and financial assessment to 3. I am with you. ये भी जानते हैं. हम आपके साथ हैं. हमको भी अलग मत
that for the first time at least it has aroused questions. We had interactions, but then there were no questions, there were observations. There were no questions, that's it. Okay. Now I would like to call on stage the chairperson of today's panel, Dr. AHMEDABAD. He is the president of the Austrian Pen International Club. He has worked in various capacities as a lecturer, as a researcher. He has been to various countries like India, Philippines, South Africa, Syria, etc. Various awards have been conferred on him, and he has edited, compiled and published more than 60 books. Sir, pleasure to have you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I guess you should hear a little German. Guten Morgen, meine Damen und Herren. Let me, first of all, let me say I'm really honored to be invited to India to speak at this conference. I'm glad I was listening now. I have not really read the paper, just want full thoughts. Now, listening to you, I changed it a little bit, because you said writing about me is writing about you. What this means, writing about you, is writing about me. And this leads me to the idea, actually, when we write about each other, we come to a certain kind of unity, which could be found on the one side in the African idea, East African idea of Ubuntu, and to the Mid-European idea in the Jewish tradition, by Martin Buber, for example. The I becomes because of you to the I. I can't be I without you, but you can't be you without me. And I think this is a very important thought. And if we take this as a balance, as a basis for a worldwide dialogue, we would be much better off, because we don't have either thinking. I'm not so sure that all of you know so exactly what pen is. So let me say that in one or two words. Of course, pen is a European idea. It's too loud because I hear the sound of It's a European idea. It was founded in London in 1921 and in Austria in 1923. Now you will ask, why was it founded? It was because of the terrible bloodshed during the First World War, and writers thought such things should never happen again. Well, this is completely true, the idea, but from the beginning it was a Eurocentristic idea. This means, now let me give you a small little example. During the First World War, soldiers from the Nagaland were fighting on the British side. The Naga have been in these days, as you all know, headhunters. And headhunting is, in the European way of sense, the most ugly thing you can do. It is the act of barbarians. Now the Naga, who fought for the British, thought, when we fight there in Europe, we will collect the hell of the fans. Addicted to our village. This was, of course, prohibited. And when the Naga saw the British, and so the other Europeans, how they slaughtered themselves, they asked, are you sure that we are the barbarians? We chop off one head, or two heads if it is necessary, but you slaughter each other in thousands. This dialogue did never start because the Naga group was not a European group. The Naga did not speak a language which is a typical European language, because we normally tend to see the world only through our languages. I'm here because Stephanie Kleiner from Düsseldorf told you already a little bit yesterday, we have a common project. She and I, and I'm sure I can say that for you, when it comes to DALIT literature, we're not even students. We are the pupils in the primary education. But at least one thing we can do is, we can open the space for you in Middle Europe. That you become part of our dialogue, and we become part of your dialogue.
because you have to be heard, you have to be seen, but not only you, also the other groups who are marginalized. Let me come to another point. I was several times asked here during the conference, do you have in Europe marginalized groups like the DALIT? Well, we don't have a marginalized group like the DALITs, as you are. We don't have marginalized groups like in the Amazonas region. The indigenous people are not able to speak. The Portuguese, which is officially the real Portuguese, they don't have groups who are suffering like in Mesoamerica where their cultural identity are suppressed. They don't have it all. But we have marginalized groups. And these marginalized groups, we call them in my language Zigeuner, in English we call them Gypsies. The proper name would now be Sinti and Roma. These people are living in Europe since centuries. They kept on the one hand their own languages. In Austria alone they speak 8 languages. They have, of course, a literature, which is not read by the German-speaking people, because we don't speak one of those languages. But one thing we know very exactly, these people were chased and hunted like the Jews during the Second World War, and hundreds of thousands were killed in the concentration camps. And it was at the end of the 60s that Austria said we have to have a memorial in the concentration camps. So if this is not marginalized, I don't know what is not marginalized anymore. Sinti and Roma normally, but very often don't say in the public that they are. Of course, very often they can be identified because, as we say, they have an Indian look. So it is not easy to disappear in the normal way of life. But, as I said, they speak German in the public. They have, it depends where they live, the names of the population. So in France, they have French names. In German, they have German names. Hänschen Weiss, for example, a very famous musician. Hänschen Weiss. You can't have a more German name like this. These men, very often, when they go to town, and some of them are famous for their music. The people love to hear their music, but it happened in some cities. These musicians did not get a hotel room to sleep. So this means they break the concert hall and afterward they have to leave the city. Is this marginalization? Let me end up this point with the groups, the Sinti Roma groups.